Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times with Willy B, we'll be reviewing Driveway Dolls. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Let's fucking go, Russell.
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. I'm Willy B, and today I got Caitlin. Caitlin, how we doing?
I'm fabulous.
Fabulous.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. It's been a while. We've been, trying to catch a movie in general in a while, and we finally got to it. We finally got to a film.
I'm honored to be here with you.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Ethan Coen. This is the first film since the breakup that we get from him. He wrote it with his wife over COVID. And it's definitely got the feel of the Coen brothers, but it's also got its unique twist to it. So Driveway Dolls, big cast, Margaret Qualley kind of picking up some traction. She was in Poor Things in a supporting character role, but she's been in a lot recently, I feel like.
She was in The Maid on Netflix, and that's where I first saw her, and I've rewatched that at least 3 times. She's incredible.
So she's usually turns in a solid performance in anything she's in. Geraldine... I butcher her last name every time, so I'm just going to say Geraldine V.
Yeah,
I don't want to butcher
I'm good with that. Let's
but
not.
She's Marion. She's the other main character. And then, we got Beanie Feldstein. We got Coleman Domingo, Pedro Pascal, Matt Damon, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Making a little bit of a cameo in this film. So the stars are there. There's stars in this one. So we'll hop right into the good. And where do you want to start?
I would say... anyone that has seen this movie, you can have a really fun conversation about it. And I think everyone can find something they enjoyed from it.
For sure.
Except for the 2 people who left the movie halfway through.
Yeah. We did get a couple movie ditchers in this one, which was surprising to see. A little bit of a letdown for an opening night crowd, but it was the 5 p.m. showing, so hopefully that had something to do with it. It seemed like the 7 p.m. showing was fuller.
Yeah.
But yes, a very fun story. And usually when the Coen brothers, or even just Ethan Coen, puts a movie together, it's usually, even though it's on the more crime-driven thriller side, it always has some comedy to kind of, deflate the heavy subject.
Yeah, definitely did that with this movie. Like, the banter in it was incredible. I laughed throughout the entire movie. Heard lines I've never heard and will never hear in another movie.
Yeah, great comedy, great dialogue. I thought this was one of, as far as writing goes, one of the better ones. Let's be real, the Coen brothers don't really have a bad movie, but...
No, all iconic.
Yeah. Ethan Coen did Blood Simple by himself, as far as director goes. I think they wrote it together. But this one was definitely more of the comedy-driven movies than we've seen from the Coen brothers. They always have comedic elements, but this one was more driven by the comedy, I feel like.
For sure.
So you have... it's the story of 2 lesbian friends. One just got out of a breakup. One... is looking for a fresh start, going down to see family, and so they pick up a driveway car to go to Tallahassee, and they find out that this driveway car is holding a secret suitcase and a severed head, which...
spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, there is a spoiler alert on the entire video, but... then it's just them being chased down by these 2 goons, and that's where you kind of get a Fargo feel from it, because it felt like, Steve Buscemi and him and his... goons following them to Florida, but there was kind of a little bit of bits and pieces from each of the Coen brothers. I felt like, I felt a little bit of Big Lebowski with the psychedelic scenes, and the pizza scene in particular kind of reminded me of the Bowling Dream.
Yes. Yep.
So it was cool to see them take inspiration. They took some inspiration from Raising Arizona as well, in pieces here and there, but it was cool that he used that. But yeah, a very fun story, quick, 84 minutes.
It was so fast. And, I don't feel like any parts really lulled. No. There were some times where I thought maybe, the dialogue could have, cut short. But then they would, say something so hilarious or that was crucial to the story. Yeah. So it was worth it. And I also enjoyed that it took a pretty good chunk of time to find out what was in their car.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't found that until halfway through the movie, I think, right?
When we find out fairly quick that the car is not supposed to be in their possession, but they don't discover the suitcase till late, like you said, and then even longer before we even get to find out what's in the suitcase. So it creates that element of suspense, because you're like, okay, what's in this suitcase. It ends up being dildos of
like 5 different dildos from 5 very rich men.
Yeah, like one's on the Supreme Court, one's running for senator of Florida. So not what I expected.
Strange.
Not what I expected.
You assume it's a like a case full of money.
That's what I thought.
Because the girls are acting like they're going to live it up.
That's why I loved what they did, what Ethan Coen did and Trisha Cook. The fact that it was dildos, when you see
Such a good surprise.
It was a good surprise because when you see how they reacted to opening the case the first time and you still don't know what they are, the way they light up, you're like, oh, it's money.
Yeah.
It's money. But then you see it's dildos, I'm like, well, why would they act up like that? And I'm like, it makes sense. Because our characters, especially Margaret Qualley's character, super horny the entire movie.
Very sexual movie.
Yes.
So much sex, so many sex scenes.
Yeah.
Sexual conversations.
For sure.
Like, coming from women, which is what I thought was very cool, very interesting, something I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And probably a lot for the average person wandering in there not knowing what they're getting into.
Yeah, this was, not a family film. You don't go watch this with mom or grandma.
I mean, unless they're, like, really cool.
Yeah. And my mom would probably go watch this with
My
me,
mom would definitely watch that movie.
I have a cool mom.
You need to be open-minded for this one, for sure.
But it's like Saltburn. You saw Saltburn, right?
Oh, God,
Saltburn
yes, I saw
is a movie
Saltburn.
you go into and you don't expect it to be as weird as it is, but it was still really good.
Oh,
and this
incredible.
one was in the same boat. It was weird, but it was still good.
Yeah.
I think I liked Saltburn a good bit more than this film, but despite its quirkiness and weird, I thought Drive-Away Dolls was still a very enjoyable film.
Yeah. It was not bad. It was unique, which is what I like when I see a movie.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of movies. I want it to be different.
Yeah.
I want to think back on it. And I just want something that I haven't seen or heard before.
Yeah.
And that happened here.
Yeah, and you get a lot of, cool callbacks and homage still paid to some of the classics, like, the severed head in the box. You pointed this out to me. It was a Seven reference, and it definitely was. It would have been really cool if we got...
the Seven fan in the room didn't pick up.
I know. I know. You beat me to it, but...
I forgive you.
It would have been really cool if they, quoted, what's in the box?
I know. That's what I was screaming in my head, wondering, what's in the box?
But that was cool, and then, obviously, like I stated, it definitely took bits and pieces of aspects of Coen Brothers films and put it in here, but you can't have, even if they're not the brothers, I don't think the Coen brothers or either of them can make a movie that doesn't have that feel.
Yeah.
This movie took place along the East Coast and it still felt Western. Didn't it?
I could see that.
I mean, Qualley has the Southern accent because she's from Texas, so that obviously probably played part into that, but it still felt like just the car they were driving, the highways they were on, it just, until they got down to Tallahassee, it was like, it felt like they were in the West.
Yeah.
And it's just that feeling.
I actually didn't think about that until you said it, but I can totally see that.
Yeah. It's just that feeling of Coen Brothers films, I feel like. And Ethan Coen, again, on his own in this one, rumored to get together.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Maybe they'll appreciate each other even more after this hiatus.
This is good news after hearing I just mentioned you, after hearing the Safdie brothers are breaking up. It's good to see that the Coens might be able to. Yeah. And neither breakups were bad. They were just like, we want to see what we can do on our own type of thing.
Which makes total sense. And maybe when they come back together, they'll have even better ideas or new creative things they can bring to the table with each other.
Yeah.
Just need a refresh.
For sure. So, yeah, I like this one a lot. Even more good to talk about. I know you like the set design. Most of the bars were really they looked good. The hotels, yes. It felt very late 90s, early 2000s, which was the setting of this film. They did a good job with that.
One thing I noticed, because you brought up the bars, the first scene you see is Pedro at the bar.
Mm-hmm. At Cicero's Pizza Shop.
Yes. And he's clutching the briefcase and looking out of the booth. Did you notice that that's kind of how the movie was at the end with Matt Damon?
With the She Shed is
Yes.
the bar they're at the end, because Cicero's was the bar in Philadelphia. She Shed was down in Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. And it was the same setup. They
I actually thought it was the same bar for a moment, but I remembered the floor tiles and they were different.
I feel like they used the same set and just kind of replaced some of the...
I could see
because it's the same booth setup, same bar setup. It's just the cosmetics of the set design are different.
Okay.
But yes, how Matt Damon peeks around. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that was a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah.
And just the impact of what you can do with a set shown right there too.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. We already mentioned the comedy was great. I know there were some quotes that stuck with you.
Yes.
If you have those, that kind of goes hand in hand with the dialogue. It's hard. I feel like past 5 to 10 years when it comes to comedy, comedy movies in general, and then comedy being fit in with film, it's hit or miss a lot.
So much.
But this movie did a really good job at, like, almost every joke landed for me.
I agreed. I mean,
I laughed at a lot.
I feel like I was laughing more than anybody else in there. Not that there was a ton of people in the theater, but like I felt like I really enjoyed it. I have a weird sense of humor. I'm not easy to make laugh. Like it was hitting for me.
No, this was definitely a dark comedy, and there were some like jokes like it takes a level of comedy to like hit a person with some of these jokes, and I enjoyed most of them, if not all of them.
No, I really did. And then I was like sometimes just shocked by like the lines that Margaret Qualley's character was saying. I mean, she was bonkers with the stuff she was
incredibly
saying.
out of pocket. Yeah.
Yes. They also referenced like towns in Ohio at least twice. Toledo and Cincinnati. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah.
I feel like Toledo. Ohio's always referenced.
Yeah, because Toledo was in the trailer. That scene was in the trailer. But yeah, Cincinnati's referenced too when the two goons are arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of like the quotes that I have in here is, "I came from Toledo. I don't dress like it."
Yeah, that was from the bar scene. Yeah.
Pussy promise instead of pinky promise.
Yes, I did. That one was kind of slid in there. That was slid in there. They kept that like on the down low. Like you really had to catch that.
It was quick.
It struck me, and I don't think it hit Rosie because I looked at her and she was like, "What?"
So funny to me. I loved that because like a pussy promise is probably more meaningful to Margaret's character.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last one I have in here is a day late and a dick short.
Yes,
because they're missing a dildo from the box. Yeah, and I was like, that's hilarious.
Yes, the dialogue, the writing was really, really good. The writing was fantastic. All of the jokes fit really well in the scene. And what I mean, like, a prime example is comic book movies. I feel like comic book movies are really trying to drive the comedy in a lot of these films, and it doesn't land a lot of the time.
Yeah,
Thor is a prime example.
And like,
the newest
come on,
Aquaman.
we gotta slide a joke into here, but it like doesn't really make sense here.
Yeah, but this was a really good dark comedy that I felt like a lot of the jokes will land for, I feel like most people, but again, there will be people that leave the theaters for this one, unfortunately.
It's going to be too much for people.
Yeah. It does get a little political, which...
Not too much. Like, not as much as it could have been political, in my opinion.
I feel like that's what upset the people in our crowd, though. But
well, and they also just may not want to see a predominantly lesbian movie. Yeah.
And like you said, there is a lot of, like...
There's a ton.
You don't see much nudity, I think, except for the beginning. But there
you see the woman in the swimming pool.
Yes, but there is a lot of
in the movie or in the beginning,
sexual scenes in the sense that you're seeing the faces and the bodies, but
it was more
it'll be
raunchy.
A bit much for a lot of people, but I can handle it.
Well, here's my thing though, and sorry if this is too political, but it's like why can we sit through like a typical heterosexual like sex scenes? Like we can sit through tons of those and that's just normal. It might be a little uncomfortable to like see sitting next to a certain person, but like it's going to be a lot for people who don't know how to handle seeing like a queer relationship.
Oh, for sure.
Which I loved seeing it. I love representation. I think it's great that we have these mainstream movies featuring like queer love.
Yeah.
And just like different types of people from different ethnicities. I love that it's just becoming more common now. And I know we already said this. I love that the woman was the one who was being raunchy and sexual the whole time. Because you just don't see that. And she reminded me of like a 13-year-old boy. Like just free line stream of thought constantly.
The live loose, don't think about it too much. I will say I really like the flashback, speaking of the lady in the pool. I really like those flashbacks to kind of show the roots of how she was turned on to women.
Yeah.
She sees
it was a beautiful moment.
Neighbor, she sees, this girl sunbathing topless, and then she sees the husband come out with the beer saying, when's dinner going to be ready? And like, she was like, that's gross. It was kind of cool.
When he, like, doesn't appreciate this beautiful wife that he has.
Yeah, and he's, like, shirtless and... Yeah.
Yeah. Give me dinner.
But it was cool, like, to see how, like, she hangs on to that moment, you know? But...
Well, yeah. And honestly, I thought that was super cinematic when they show her on the trampoline and she's just slowly getting a glimpse of something.
Yeah.
And we're with her, like, slowly beginning to see what she's fully looking at. And then we finally see, like, her full naked body that she's looking at. And then she drills the hole. Yeah. I'm like, this little girl's genius.
Yeah. The transitions was something else I want to mention in the good. The transitions... Yeah. I like what you said when we were talking before we started recording. They felt almost like when you first find the transition effects in slideshows when you're working on slideshows in school. They did, but they did it in such a cool way, like the bar sign flipping in, and then boom, it's on there, and then just every transition was different.
Yes.
And I think I liked that.
I really liked it because that's definitely not for everybody. Like, some people would be annoyed by that or think it was kind of cheesy, but... Once again, I'm looking for something different. Yeah. I'm bored by, like, all of the typical cliche stuff. And, like, always a different one every time. Felt nostalgic to me. Maybe they were going for that, too. Maybe they were thinking of, like, the slideshow transitions.
Late 90s, computers are growing. And the Microsoft Suite was, like, a big thing. Like, I remember even in Friends, when Chandler first got his computer, he was like, we can make a list. I have Microsoft blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just... a thing that was becoming popular then, so maybe that was like
could
a little
right
Easter
before
egg
Y2K.
To the PowerPoint slides transitions. Maybe I mean that's kind of cool to think about. Yeah, we can say that it is.
Yeah, I think so.
That adds to our.
It takes me back.
Yeah, so I liked it a lot.
Well, do you think they stopped doing those transitions that we're talking about, and then they switched to the psychedelic ones only, or did they kind of mix in?
They mixed them in.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into the psychedelic ones, but is there anything you'd like to add in the good? The acting. I mean.
Yeah, the acting was great.
There wasn't a bad performance in this movie. I don't think anything was like, Academy worthy, but I think everybody played their role really well.
No, I think we actually.
Wish we got more Pedro Pascal.
I know. At least we had his head randomly throughout the movie. Yeah. But no, I think we covered everything.
Okay. So we'll hop over to the meh then. And this is, stuff that's not good but not bad. This is where I put the psychedelic transitions. Okay. They got better as you find out that they're Matt Damon's character's, like, imagination, and once Miley Cyrus gets in them and is adding that ASMR that, like, would, affect how he's acting when you see him. But at first I'm like, these feel... out of place.
100%. I was with you too. Like, the first one they showed, I literally made a note on my phone because I was like, I have to ask Will if he understands why this is happening.
No, and like I said, the pizza one was cool because it felt very Big Lebowski-esque in the sense that the Big Lebowski had this dream actually right here where he's a bowling pin with Maude and teaching her how to bowl and all of that. Like that, it kind of felt like that in the same sense, but at the same time, I think this was a very well-paced movie, but sometimes those psychedelic scenes broke up the pacing. Yeah. They threw you off.
You had no idea why these are here, and they didn't fit in any way, because it's a 90s movie with 70s transitions.
Yeah. But like I said, they got better as they, start to connect to Matt Damon's character, who is this senator who had a bad night, or I should say a good night.
Seemed like an awesome night, honestly, with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, got a die cast of his junk, and now he's one of the five. He's the Dick Short, the day late Dick Short.
He was the missing dick that both of the girls were very into.
Yeah. Which, speaking of meh, I'm sad that they left those behind because they were so happy to have them. So I'll throw that in the meh. I was like, why'd you have to let them leave them? Yeah. Couldn't let them have their fun, but no, it was the psychedelic transitions are really the only thing I have in the meh. I don't think that there's anything else really put in this category for me, at least. If you have anything, but they did just throw me off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was with you on that, and I'm glad that they made sense at the end because they were really visually cool and stunning and well done.
Oh, I bet under the influence of anything, this movie's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty wild just watching him sober. So, one thing that was meh for me, and this is only because I watch a lot of SNL, Margaret Qualley's accent reminded me of a Kate McKinnon bit. where she's like this trailer trash woman who is constantly being abducted by aliens and sharing her story. I'm not gonna lie, like that is what I could hear most of the time when she was talking, because it was a very severe Southern Texan accent.
Yeah,
and it wasn't bad.
No, she did a good job.
It made me think of that, and it kind of took me out of it sometimes, because the character that it reminds me of is ridiculous.
Yeah. So I don't have that same like attachment, because I unfortunately have never really watched SNL. I've actually thought about starting to like go back and watch them from like when they first started in 79.
Yeah.
And just like, but Rosie leaned over to me when she first turned. She's like, "Gosh, that's a really good accent." I thought the same thing.
It is, and it's a really specific
but it is,
Southern accent that I haven't
deep.
really heard, but that's what it made me think of. And it doesn't even really count as a Met. It's just a personal thing for me.
No, for sure. When I heard it, I almost wanted to look up where she was from, because it almost felt like there was a chance that she had some Southern, like it was a solid accent, I thought.
I don't think she, do you mean in real life?
Like where she's from, like maybe it was derived from her childhood, or maybe she's just got
her
lessons.
mom's a famous actress.
Okay.
Do I know her name right now? No, but you would recognize her face, and I don't think they're from the South, but I could be totally wrong.
But I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. But I can definitely see how it
was thick.
Yeah,
it was laid on thick.
It definitely.
Is it okay to bring up something that I really like that I just remembered that we didn't talk about?
Yeah. What you got?
I really like how the two main characters' relationship evolves throughout the movie.
Yes.
Because
we definitely should have mentioned that in the good.
Yeah. Jamie is definitely the outgoing, super flirty. She gets all the girls all the time, like constantly bringing a new girl home. And her friends is in a dry spell.
Yeah.
So Jamie's goal is to get her laid.
Yeah.
And they end up, slowly falling for each other. And it's nice to see Jamie's character soften.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of give up her ways and, like, help Marion get where she needs to go. And, like, at the end, they finally have, like, a secure, loving relationship where it seems like they're only interested in each other.
And then they get in the car with Aunt Ellis
and talk about getting married.
We're moving to Massachusetts, and she literally before they get in the car, she's like, she's really religious, so watch what you say.
I know.
Why are you guys moving to Massachusetts? Oh, that's where women can get married. And she's like, oh.
But then she was fine with it.
It was so good. It was so good.
She said that's innovative.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see. But I loved how their relationship evolved
for sure. Great
throughout.
character arc, 100%.
I honestly didn't see that coming. Like I hoped for it.
And the trailer does a really good job at making it look like Suki, Suki.
Jamie's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, it does a really good job making it look like that they're together the entire movie.
I didn't really know what to expect from the trailer, so I didn't get that vibe per se, but I just didn't expect Jamie to settle down in any capacity.
Just because it like kind of shows them on the phone, and then it like shows her in Florida with them, so I thought, oh, maybe they're together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But no, she's delivering the dog.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a great character arc. Yeah. I can't believe we forgot to mention that in the good. That's definitely...
There's so many things to touch on, and it's
kind of all over the place.
It really is. So I feel like this review is going to be all over the place because there's so many things to like jump around on. Yeah. Not at all.
It's a lot of jumping around, a lot of flashbacks, a lot of psychedelic random throw-ins. Those were like I said, the only thing that really threw me off big time. Do you have anything else for the meh?
I don't think so.
So we'll hop to the bad, and I don't really have anything in the bad. I guess at first I thought the dildo suitcase reveal was cringy, but then it made sense. So I don't really want to put it in the bad because, like, at first I was like, oh, it's not. I was like,
it's not money.
I was like, what is this? I thought it was just like some like dumb throw in that they were trying to make people laugh, and I didn't laugh. Like the only comedy that didn't land for me. And then as, they fell in love with the senator's dildo and, like, it all started making more sense. I was like, okay, like, this actually makes more sense. Ethan Coen did it again. He wrote a story that at first, like, you're like, where are we going? And then he connects it. He finds a way. Finds a way to tie the bow.
Yeah, I love the dildo thing. Because it's just so unexpected.
Yeah.
One thing I'm realizing now as we're talking is we really don't know any of these characters very well at all.
No.
Which is strange. And not that it's a bad thing per se, but it's interesting.
Well, this is supposed to be a trilogy, apparently.
Do you really think that will happen?
I don't know. I feel like we could, because like you said, we could learn more about the characters, but at the same time, I like movies being left alone. Like, I get if it's a planned trilogy, maybe he has something up his sleeve. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to happen. I know based on our first night with how many people were in the theater, it doesn't look like it's going to be the biggest financial success. But it does seem like the Coens have a resume. The point where, like, if they want something done, somebody's going to sign on. That's
kind of what I thought, too. Like, I just don't know that necessarily the audience would be like, give me more. But if they wanted to do it, they could totally do it.
Yeah.
And any movie that's that strange, I think it's either going to be a huge hit or it's not.
Yeah. This almost, if I'm going to compare it to a movie that came out actually last year, for me, it's in the same boat as Bottoms.
I have not seen that yet, but it
Bottoms
is on my
was
list.
a very good movie. There were some flaws. There's some flaws with this one. But at the end of the day, it's a fun ride, and it's a quick, this one was 80 minutes. I think Bottoms was like an hour 40. They're just fun, quick rides that if you can just sit back and relax and have a good time with them, you'll like them.
Yeah.
You don't go into them expecting to be The Godfather or, you know what I mean, some, like, epic drama. Because you're not going to get that. And even compared to Coen Brothers movies or Ethan Coen's Blood Simple, this one, like I said, definitely has a more of a let-loose attitude to it than the rest of their films. Other films have a lot of comedy, but this one definitely takes the cake for comedy when it comes to just letting loose.
It was way, way funnier than I anticipated it being.
Sure.
But it was nice because I went into the movie not really knowing what I was going to see. Because to me, the trailer doesn't really give too much away. No,
it doesn't. The only thing I predicted from the trailer that actually was correct, because like you said, I didn't expect them to get together. I had a feeling that we were going to lose Pedro Pascal fairly quick, and we lost him fairly quick.
He went out hard, though. Brutal way to die.
Yeah.
Like,
corkscrew to the neck,
eyes.
Pen to the neck, eyes squeezed out,
and then
beheaded.
Yeah. God.
With a saw. Not like a quick swing of a sword or something. No, he got his head sawed off.
That was insane. I mean, that was in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. You get your Pedro Pascal run.
And this is all for a dildo. Like, all of this is for a dildo.
Yeah, and it's funny because they talk about him. His character's name is Santos. They talk about him in the end. They're like, some, like,
collector.
Erotic collector was collecting all of these famous dildos. And you're like...
So it's like, are they only sold as a set? Like, these dildos, like, are they only, like... They're all from Miley Cyrus's character? Is that, like, the point of it? Like, she did all of these?
That's...
literally.
maybe these are questions that get answered in Driveway Dolls, too.
Well, and Matt Damon's character is still alive.
Yes, but he's obviously not going to be a senator.
No, so maybe he gets out of prison and he's going to come after these girls. Maybe the other men who need their dildo forms
introduced
back.
To other guys. So.
Yeah, so there are options.
There's definitely room to make more. I don't know. I like thinking that this one ended. They went up to Massachusetts with their $1 million and they're living a happy life in Provincetown.
I did feel like the ending maybe came a little quick. Yeah. But I guess what more would I want from them? But like the whole Matt Damon interaction was so fast.
Super fast.
And it was great. I liked what they did with that. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting a lot of stuff in this movie, which once again is why I like it, because I don't want to be able to predict what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
But it would have maybe been nice to see what happened with him. You get like the newspaper headline, which is really funny.
Yeah. I wouldn't say this is bad necessarily, but it was a little bit of a letdown. Two things. When the goons start fighting and the one kills them and the leader, and then
why did he do that?
The rush ending. I think both of those were like quick cop-out scenes almost.
I agree with you on that.
I wish I would have gotten a little more elaboration from the ending. Like I said, I guess it makes sense if you're planning a trilogy. Because there's more room to go from there. But I wish that scene with the goons was explained or went different.
I agree, because we don't know why the one guy decided to kill the other two. Like, I don't know if he just knew it was a bad situation. He had to get out of it because he thought maybe he was going to die. But it was really strange. The dog park scene was strange.
Yeah, because they met underneath the dog track.
Yeah, and then, like, those weird close-ups of the dogs, which just broke my heart. Like, being a dog lover, I don't know if their faces were changed or if that's what their faces actually look like when they're running. Like, that's just awful.
Yeah, and them all muzzled up. But yeah, I don't know how I felt about that scene.
Yeah, it was strange. It didn't seem to really serve any type of purpose. And then, like, the fact that he would leave those two girls alive is stupid. Like, I know he ran out of bullets, but it's like you could kill them with your bare hands. Or
do the
other guys not have a gun?
Yeah, they're tied up.
So, yes, this is in the bad category. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I get the goons were fighting most of the movie, too, but, like, I don't feel like any of their fights were extraneous enough to lead to the shooting.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's where I'm like, I don't know, it almost
that
didn't
is
make
a
a lot
hole,
of sense.
like a plot hole, I think, that doesn't
but that's, like, really it for me in the bad.
I agree.
There was a lot to like with this film.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember thinking this doesn't really seem like it makes much sense. Mm-hmm. But I did love the banter between the two goons. Like, that was surprisingly really funny to me.
That felt a lot like Fargo for me. In the sense that two goons in a car, almost the entire movie, it like was obviously inspiration from that. Which Fargo is my favorite Coen Brothers movie, so it was cool to see that dynamic again.
Yeah.
So one's the bigger brute guy, one's the smaller, but he says he's better at talking, which in Fargo the other guy doesn't. The brute doesn't even talk at all. So like it almost was like, the same thing. Yeah, and it was pretty cool. The brute. I won't get into that because I know you haven't seen it, and I want you to see Fargo.
I'm sorry, everyone out there.
No, I was going to say something, but it kind of spoils something, so I don't want to, but you should definitely watch Fargo.
You're sweet, thank you.
But, I loved seeing the inspiration pull from the older movies, because I think all of their movies kind of do that, and that's why they all have that same feel to them, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Yeah. Same with Wes Anderson. They all have that same feel, but you love Wes Anderson for Wes Anderson. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else like it.
And I know they weren't the brothers in this one, but Ethan Coen still captured the essence.
He, like, had a nod back to the past.
Coen, yeah. So, I like that a lot. But is there anything you'd like to add in the bad? I feel like we both feel like there's a lot to like with this film.
I kind of wish I would have seen Beanie's character more, because I really enjoyed her character. I thought it was funny to see her play, like, a tougher character, because I feel like she's always upbeat and super quirky. Yeah. So it was fun to see her, but I wish I could have seen her a little bit more.
Again, the trailer misleads you there. She feels like she's, like, a major role in this movie, but she's probably gets, like, 15 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, it's such a small cast, and really only 4 of those people have huge roles. Yeah. And I don't even know that the goons necessarily did. It was just the main girls.
I would say they have the 3rd and 4th most screen time. I agree. But it's still a big leap from our 2 main. We'll hop over to our final thoughts and ratings. So is there anything else you'd like to leave on this film, and what do you give it out of 10? That's the same reaction I get from most of the guests. Is,
it's hard to rate.
Yeah.
I'll still go back to just saying I really appreciated that it was something different, something I haven't seen or heard before. I couldn't predict anywhere it was going at any point for the most part. So that's my favorite thing about it. I'd probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 maybe a 7.
Okay.
I'm not good at rating things. What would you say?
I'm usually on the more generous side, so like I give out more 10 out of 10s than the common person, but for this one, I'd probably go 7.5.
Okay, so we're not far off.
I thought it was a notch below great, but I thought it was a peg above good. It's in between that good and great for me. There are some things that could have been better. I almost would have liked it if it was a little bit longer, I feel like.
I think so too, like not much longer, but it really, when it ended, I was like, holy shit.
You don't ever hear of movies being under 90 minutes anymore.
No.
And this one being 84, I was like, oh, this will be a nice change of pace. Then after it was over, I was like, yeah, I could have used 100 minutes. Like, even if it was just 15 more minutes explaining maybe...
Tie up some of the loose ends, for sure.
Tie up some of those holes we were talking about.
What happened to Curly?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I liked Curly.
Maybe Curly's the villain in the second one.
Maybe.
There are a lot of ways to go with it, though. I will say that. If you're planning a trilogy, I think you did a lot. I think you did more than enough to go different directions.
For sure. I mean, the dildo owners alone, like, I think.
Yeah. And a lot of the supporting characters and finding out more about our main characters. Are they married now? Are they in Massachusetts? Like, there's there's a lot.
Do they still talk to the girls' soccer team?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They still have slumber parties in the basement, but no,
Basement
all in all,
parties apparently are a big thing in the 90s.
Yeah, apparently, but all in all, it was an enjoyable movie. I had a good time with it. And that's exactly how I feel like I left the theater for Bottoms. I left it and I was like, is it the greatest movie of all time? No, but I had a good time.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. And honestly, you and I have talked about a lot more things than I even realized we would talk about. And to me, that makes it a success. And I could have this conversation with other people and come up with different talking points, which to me makes a good movie, is when you can think back on it, you want to keep thinking back on it, and like you just realize things later on down the line that you didn't realize before. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Related to the Coen brothers films and Ethan Coen's Blood Simple, it's definitely on the lower end of things for me, but that's just because it's hard to beat movies like Fargo, The Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men.
That's why it was honestly kind of shocking to see like this film from a Coen brother.
Yeah.
Because like I really expected something like so serious and like just so Coen brothers, you know? Like I wasn't expecting to be able to like follow it so well. Because like to me, I'm just like, I don't know, am I smart enough to watch a Coen brothers movie? Like, I would sometimes.
I would say after seeing this is a good starting point to just dive into some of their films.
I know I need to.
Because they're just, as brothers and separate, they really don't have a bad movie. On that list, like I think, you obviously talk about the directors like Scorsese and Tarantino and Spielberg. Like you hear those guys' names and not having bad movies, but Wes Anderson, Coen brothers, David Fincher, those are three directors that I love and I feel like aren't ever included in that conversation of
which is crazy
name directors that don't have bad movies. Those are three of them for me.
I think they're going to start being included in those conversations.
Yeah. I shouldn't say Fincher has no bad movies because, I enjoy it, but he did an Alien sequel and some people don't love it. But for the most part, like 90% plus of these guys' movies are great movies. Wes Anderson's worst movie for me is like a 7.5, and that's almost the same for the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
I agree. I hope that, they're starting to already. Like if you look at social media and movie talk and like all of the movie stuff, the Coen brothers are starting to get more. Wes Anderson's obviously kind of been like that quirky guy to like, but I feel like now he's becoming more mainstream. So it's good to see them get the recognition for sure.
Yeah.
Because they have great movies.
I'm surprised you're saying that Wes Anderson is becoming like mainstream, because I just feel like he has been for years. Like he's just kind of like a director you have to have in your collection.
No, I feel like anybody that calls himself a film buff loves Wes Anderson. I feel like the more common moviegoers starting to like Wes Anderson is what I mean by it's becoming more mainstream.
It's from working at the Exchange. I'm just like, everybody loves Wes Anderson.
I mean, if you're a film buff, you what I just said has nothing to do with you. You're giving your respect to David Fincher. You're giving your respect to the Coen brothers. You're giving your respect to Wes Anderson. You're not just talking about the casual movie fans like, Scorsese. No, that makes complete sense. Those are the guys that are like go-tos for somebody who doesn't really.
I forget about like the normal people of America. Like, and I'm just used to like catering to. I'm not either.
No, I'm not discrediting those directors either.
Yeah.
I think Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, and Spielberg obviously don't miss. I'm just saying like there can be more names to throw out there when you're talking about great directors.
And there always will be. There's always going to be someone new coming out. So
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of young, like less established guys coming out now too. Like Jordan Peele's had a good 3-movie run. Oh yeah. He's not done. Robert Eggers, his first 3 movies have all been, pretty good. I love The Northman, The Witch, Lighthouse, and now he's doing Nosferatu. I'm super excited for that one coming out on Christmas. I feel like my most anticipated film of the year is always around Christmas.
Yeah, you gotta wait the longest for it. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, but
Emerald Fennell, I'm so excited to see what she does.
Yeah, Saltburn was really good.
Promising Young Woman was perfect. Mm-hmm. I loved it so much.
But yeah, there's a director I'd like to see more from is Scott Derrickson. He's done Sinister, The First Doctor Strange, and The Black Phone. And I think all 3 of those are great movies. I think Doctor Strange is a very underrated comic book movie. And Sinister and Black Phone are 2 of my favorite modern horror movies.
Those are really, really great horror movies for sure. Yeah. And Ethan Hawke is in both of them. Yeah. So he's got his guy there.
He's got his guy.
I can't believe those are the only 3 he's done. Mm-hmm. What an interesting catalog to have.
I know, and it's so sparse. It's 2012, 2016 and 2022.
Quality over quantity.
For sure. I mean, I'll take it, but he's made a name for himself. I'd like to see more come out from him. So, well, I mean, the Black Phone 2 is.
I was just gonna say there's another. Out,
so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I don't know for sure, so I don't want to like misquote. But I don't know if he is in the director's chair again or not, because I know he didn't direct the second Sinister. Okay. So maybe he. Which
that'd be so sad if he wasn't directing Black Phone 2, because if they do the origin story of how he came to be,
that would be cool. I would want Derrickson on that. If they're doing like a sequel, I don't even know how you do a sequel because
I don't either.
Never died, but yeah, I'd like to see more Scott Derrickson. But now we're turning into a director.
Yeah, sorry.
So, no, you're good. It's all movies. It's all movies. You gotta love them.
Oh yeah.
That'll do it for Driveway Dolls. Thank you, Caitlin, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Nice to finally
have you. We'll have you again. We were
I'd love to come back.
Texting about some other movies, so we'll get those lined up and we'll make them happen. But thank you all for watching. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
And if you like what you're watching, there's some more videos over here, some playlists. There's a subscribe button up there. Social links will be down in the description below, so you might as well follow if you're here. And again, I thank you for watching, and we will talk to you all soon. Peace.